Asta, you know what? I've changed my mind. His power, his presence, his girth. Unfortunately, Asta, I have to go against your magic and give up my vow as a nun, because I can no longer follow your dream. But I will follow Daddy Lucius.
Thank you to our final patrons, Praise the Sun, Strawbones, and Aaron. Now, before we come to this breakdown / review of chapter 335 of Black Clover, please leave your comments on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Now, let's hop into the review. What's up, guys? I'm Pencil, and here we are for chapter 335 of Black Clover, which is known as Severance. And it might as well be called The Worst She Can Say Is No. Because she said something way worse. However, enough of that, let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up, and we get to see that Asta, yeah, he's not doing too hot. Like, I'm pretty sure if you were to take someone else's bare hand, reinforce it with who knows how much raw power, and then take it across someone else's chest and have them body slam into a building, yeah, I assume they weren't doing too well either. However, the interesting thing to note is that Asta seemingly does retain some sort of consciousness, which is better than me. Like, seriously, man got slashed in half, then proceeded to slam his head against the brick wall and slide down. But he's like, "We still here, bros." What I love is that both Lily and Lucius are just looking down on him like, he's still alive. We gotta fix that. It's so interesting, right? Because due to how TABATA drew them, they are these pure, amazing, angelic, if you will, figures, almost divine, pure white, but you see, almost as if to represent the flaw of Asta himself, the only real darkness on both of them is their hair and Asta's own life. Like, seriously, Lucius is just casually grinning, holding a hand soaked in life. And it's crazy to think about, like, how strong Lucius is. Reasonably, he is the strongest character in the verse, with no contest at this point. Like, Lucci was the strongest and most supreme of all beings, and had both his hearts eaten already, on top of Lucius's already insane strength. So you know, he's just different. The most magical power in all the underworld, stacked upon someone who was destined to become the Wizard King, stacked on someone who's stronger than the person who was destined to become the Wizard King. Like, Lucius is crazy. Stacked that on with his DU, which he then purified. Like, the raw power that Lucius just has at his disposal right now is insane. It's incalculable, to the point where I'm not exactly sure how Asta's supposed to clear it. Like, I get it, true DU was going crazy against 50% Lucci, but like, this is at least 3 50% Lucci's fused into one. I'm not sure how much of a gap, even with will the training amp go crazy? Like, it has been. Asta is 18 now, so the gains may be insane enough that if he were to hit true DU right now, maybe he could do something. But even then, I think he would get mopped. Like, maybe if he was still going up against base Lucius, he'd have a chance, but in this evolved, insane, antlered up Lucius with who knows how much power just constantly flowing out of him, I think he's kind of different. I think he's just kind of that dude right now, which makes me wonder, how is Asta going to get his get back? And yes, I mean Asta at the end of this chapter. Yeah, that Asta. How's he going to get his get back? However, we do get to see that Asta is not only still conscious, but he is declaring, "Not done yet." Meanwhile, bro is like, he can't move. Bro's straight sitting there bleeding out and is like, I'm not done yet. I'll get you, Lucius. And even Lucius was like,
God, can I level you real quick? You can quit bluffing. The love of your life right next to me doesn't even care about you anymore. And the two loves of your life that don't care about you are currently charging him, but it doesn't mean anything to me. I am just that guy.
And interestingly enough, for some reason, Lucius implies, I'm not sure if he really would have done it, but Lucius implies here that he would have let Asta live out the last few minutes of his life, which you could arguably imply some sort of respect thing. You can even imply that with the fact that Lucius immediately saluted him after he literally bisected him. But it's interesting, right? Because reasonably, Asta is the only flaw, the only thing in the way of Lucius's plans. Anything else in the world really can't stop him. Time magic is unbeatable. And stack that on with the raw power of the strongest creature to probably ever exist in the verse before this, yeah, I don't really see anyone else doing anything. But I suppose, like, considering how useful Asta has been in all that he's done, like, I'm confident the main reason Lucius didn't make his move earlier is because Lucci would have been a threat if at full power. That's why he only goes to the underworld after that power has been split in half and defeats him. Which I suppose implies that Lucius is like, you know, you fought her, you're a flaw, and you could be thwarting my plans, but here, come on, let me dap you up real quick. Actually, I won't dap you up. You're a filthy flaw. I don't want to touch you. But I'll let you lay there in the last few minutes of your life before you perish. Very, very interesting. I like how there's that almost subtle, maybe unspoken, and very hard to see, considering, once again, he did slice him in half, respect that Lucius has for the one flaw of the world, the one issue that was born without magic. Interesting. And we do get to see that, obviously, Asta was not alone here. He was not alone in this endeavor. And both Mimosa, Noelle, and, on top of that, Sekre, or Sekre is her proper name. I always switch between Sekre and Nero just because I'm so used to knowing her as Nero, even to this point that I'm caught up on the series. Like, Nero still pops to mind, so I'll usually correct myself I'll usually say Nero, then correct myself to Sekre, but I actually said Sekre the first this time. So, Sekre is flying along in Nero form, and I will give Noelle credit. She wastes no time, like, she has no questions. She sees Sister Lily and Lucius just standing over Asta's body and says, "Sea dragons roar, baby," and just boom, immediately launches it out. And I'll admit, I respect the determination, I respect the effort, and I think it's really cool how she has Mimosa on one hand and sea dragons roar on the other and just goes boom. However, the crazy thing is, right, this isn't Saint stage, I'm pretty sure. I think this is just Valkyrie armor, so it's not the most insane level of power that Noelle could hypothetically have access to. We don't know if she still has Undyne or anything like that. However, still, Valkyrie armor Noelle goes kind of crazy in terms of just raw stats. And if you were to ask me before, we knew Sister Lily could defend herself, but I wouldn't say she was necessarily anywhere in the league of this Noelle, maybe really any of the Black Bulls, but except for like Gordon, because no one likes Gordon, I'm sorry. But we see not only does Noelle get reacted to by Lily, like Lily just straight turns her head and is like, "Oh, that's a water dragon. And we are in Naruto, that's gonna hurt." And she immediately retaliates by just letting out a spell. And it's a spell that looks familiar. It's seemingly manipulating space itself. And with that, in a similar way to a certain elf reincarnated royal boy, the dragon just vanishes. The water dragon completely disappears. Like, it doesn't even get moved somewhere else. It just, like, it was never there. And Noelle was like, "Wait a minute. I recognize that kind of magic anywhere. Spatial magic." And, I mean, I get it, Lucius. You're trying to make the new, true, top blue humans and whatever, but why would you give the first subject arguably the second strongest magic in the verse? Like, the corresponding magic to time magic would be spatial magic, because, you know, space-time. So, I mean, I guess Lily's, like, brainwashed anyway. She's a loyal soldier doing things for peace. But, I don't know, give her something light, maybe, like, fire magic, unless, like, I don't think we actually know what Lily's base magic was. But you could have just amped that, but nah, you gave her spatial magic off rip. And I do admit, once again, I do really, really like the angelic design, but on top of that, I love just the slightest of smiles on Lily's face. Like, she's not doing it purely just out of self-defense, but there's a sort of sick pleasure in using such a dominating magic over such a powerful being. I love it. I don't know. Little things, little details that people like TABATA, I'd say TABATA, Horikoshi, Nakaba, and the Record of Ragnarok mangaka. They are very, very fond of throwing in those little details and facial expressions and things that you wouldn't really see. It wouldn't really matter. Like a regular mangaka would have just drawn with a straight face and just been like, yeah, whatever, boom, got rid of the magic in self-defense. But no, there's underlying tones being implied by facial expressions and structures that, yeah, you wouldn't get everywhere, and I like that. Just like I also like the fact that the like button and subscribe button are both free, and if you hit those, both of them, it would greatly help me out. However, we do get to see that this spatial magic is apparently a gift from Buggy Boy. He has finally crossed series to the point where I can share that name across Black Clover and Record of Ragnarok reviews. And it's interesting, right? What What Lucius says here is that, this is Buggy Boy's magic. But for the sake of this, we'll call him Mel. I use my soul magic to incarnate and purify a demon. And the interesting thing about that is that he says incarnate. He doesn't say like infuse, he doesn't say merge, he doesn't say corrupt, he says incarnate. And unless I'm mistaken, to incarnate something is like, hold on, let me just Google it. Let me not sound stupid. Yeah, to incarnate is to make and give flesh in human form. So did he like destroy Buggy Boy? Like, did he straight annihilate him? Because he incarnated him into Lily using soul magic. But to incarnate something, unless like he's just, then again, we don't even see him. Like when he transforms her, all he does is go boop, boop, boop. Like he touches her temple, and that's it. We don't see like this admittedly very cool design of Buggy Boy like manifest or anything. It's just up, bada bing, bada boom. She's now using his power, and in the same moment, he incarnated Buggy Boy and purified them in the same breath. How? Does that mean he just has? Does he have just access to Buggy Boy's essence on command? Because if so, that's a bit crazy. And we do see, and this is the thing, that's Xenon's demon. So very specifically, did Lucius off him and use his power? Did he use the link he has to Xenon to link to Buggy Boy to then link to Lily and transform her? I don't know. And like, how much of Lily, if this is the incarnation then purification of Buggy Boy, how much of Lily is this and how much of Buggy Boy is this? Is this just Buggy Boy's magic and power, none of his consciousness? I'd assume. At the same time, it's crazy that he can just do that. And we do get to see that upon hearing soul magic, Noelle's like, wait a minute. That's not time magic. That's not the Wizard King at all. Nice observation, Noelle. Nice observation. And the thing is that with that revelation, that's not the Wizard King. It seems like a duplicate that has access to soul magic of all things. Noelle has no idea what he's going to do. And Lucius, once again, this is, sometimes I feel like grabbing villains by the throat when they're like, why are you explaining what you did? Do not tell them. But in a case like this, considering that Lucius is just the apex, like there's no, at this moment in time, and even in the near future, I can't really foreseeably see anything doing him in terms of just raw stats and raw power, especially considering what he goes on to explain here and goes on to explain his plan. Yeah, he's earned the flex. He's definitely earned the flex. Bro's been plotting immensely for who knows how long. So yeah, he's earned the right to talk his talk. Like, he can talk some smack real quick. And he goes on to explain that,
I've taken total control of the Underworld's remaining supreme deities and the deities on the other levels.
Meaning, bro, and it makes sense, right? Because he went straight to Lucci. Like, bro played no games. He was like, hey, Lucci, that heart, scrumptious. Like, it makes sense, but I would love to see that. Like, I know we probably never will, but imagine Lucius just running through the entire Underworld, top to bottom, and was like, I need every last one of you to perish. Because, well, interestingly enough, though, he didn't say destroyed. He said he took control of. What does that mean? Did he, like, I don't know. I think Lucci just died. I don't think he took control of Lucci. He ate that man's heart and went, alright, goodbye. So when he says taking control of, are they like under mind control, soul control, hypnosis? Or they slaughter them all and absorb their power? Because if he's incarnating them through humans, such as we see with Lily, are they still just trapped in the underworld, but they listen to him now? Is it kind of like I'd say Meli is under Lucius in his control. Like Meli obeys all of Lucius's commands. So is it that kind of control, or is it, no, you literally have no free will, you are my puppet? Like, I need to know, because the idea of taking control of all of the underworld, like, so many questions come out of it. And we do get to see that apparently when humans use demons, they sort of evolve, they become new, higher life forms. And apparently they gain wisdom in nearly immortal bodies. But the interesting thing is that he doesn't necessarily say purified humans here. He says only humans that use demon power. And you could argue that hypothetically Dante, Vanica, and Xenon would have been immortal, but probably only immortal in the longevity sense. I wonder if this evolved human, which is what he's likely trying to refer to, how is their immortality going to work? Like, notably, we see no one work Lily or him here. They're just, once again, in an entirely different league. But he says that they also gain wisdom in nearly immortal bodies. So what's up with Lily? Is Lily in there? Because notably, she still seems to have her memory. She knows who Asta is, but she knows perfectly how to use spatial magic, and on top of that, seems a bit more, how do I put it, desensitized. Like, she's not all there in the Domer, and that's a bit concerning and a bit confusing. And Lucius goes on to declare that, oh yeah, she will be one of the first. I'll call them paladins, warriors who will fight for the sake of the world.
And I will rule it. The Wizard King will be nothing compared to me. Let's see, yes.
Now, I will admit, this is stupid. I think I would have preferred if he had just stuck with the greatest Wizard King. I feel like the title is kind of non-important. Like, bruh, you aren't just the Wizard King, you rule everything. Like, at least what you're applying here, you're gonna rule the underworld, you're gonna rule the human world. Like, I think you're a bit more than a Wizard King. And I guess he's assuming he's a bit more than a Wizard King, so that's why he wants to call himself the Wizard Emperor. But, like, I think the Wizard Deity, the Wizard Lord, or something like that. Something about Emperor. I don't know. It feels like if you were to tell me, oh, that's a king and that's an emperor, I'd be like, oh, okay, so same thing, different words. But, like, the Wizard God, like something like that, like something superior would have been, I think, a better fitting thing. But the Wizard Emperor just sounds corny. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm so used to Wizard King, and in context of Black Clover, that Wizard Emperor, it's not hitting for me right now, but it may grow on me. But I don't know. Seems a little bit corny. Like, you can come with something better than that. Like, how long have you been planning this? You've been alive for a hot minute at this point. Like, you couldn't come up with anything better than the Wizard Emperor. Like, yeah, time. You didn't have to tell us this now. You could have saved it. Put that back in the workshop. Of all the things you planned over these past couple years, put that back in the workshop. And we do get to see that. The interesting thing he mentions here is that he's going to make multiple paladins to fight for the sake of the world. But and who knows? Maybe it'd be too complicated an endeavor or something. But Lucius, wouldn't it be easier if you just went around and tapped everybody? Like, wouldn't that just be simpler? Like, you'd get the process done a whole lot quicker. I don't know why you're going to war with beings who are at least infinitely weaker than you. Like, no one except for Asta really reached 50% Lucci in terms of raw power when he was at full power. You are that at least times 3. Or at least times 2, whatever. He has 100% Lucci's power. If you want to argue that Lucius was never equal to even 50% Lucci, fine. But, dog, aren't you trying to, like, get all humans and purify them all? Just go around and start tap, 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 to tap, tap, to tap. Because Asta was the only guy you needed to get rid of. Like, he was the only guy that no matter how much you tapped him, he wouldn't do anything. But every other human, since they have magic, they should be susceptible to your touch. And if you want to just have them all to rule over, just go and get to tapping. I don't know why. Like, what war is going to be fought? What need is there for a war in this case, I'm assuming? Because you have free access to the underworld, supposedly. I don't think there's any sort of higher realm. You haven't hinted at that yet, and we don't know of one. But we do know the like button is free, and so the subscribe button. It really help pencil out if you hit those. But I don't really see, like, what's the whole point of this war. I get it. Every big shonen needs to end in a quote-unquote war arc. That's why Lucius is doing it on a meta level. But on a, like, Lucius and narrative level, I don't get why he's gonna go to war and how any character could even stand up to him at this point in a war. Or even Lily. Like, straight up, Lily just casually blinking out Sea Dragon's roar out of existence. Do you really need multiple of her? Can't you just like, throw her at the captains? I think she has a pretty solid chance of soloing. I don't know. And if not, do it yourself. Obviously, you went out of your way to take care of Asta yourself. I don't think you need anyone else. But even then, I feel like you want to have the captains. Like, if you really need to make, like, a high-ranking force to fight whoever, because once again, you already cleared the underworld, unless there's a heavenly realm we don't know about yet. I don't know why you need this army. But just tap the captains, make them all into multiple lilies, and then go crazy. Have fun. Annihilate everything. Because assumedly, akin to the elves, every single human has a demon counterpart, right? So you probably wouldn't even have to reincarnate them with any specific magic. Just let them get their underworld counterpart amp. I don't know. Seems a little bit weird, Lucius, that you're gonna go out of your way to make an army. However, we do get to see that Asta's like, I wish I could say something, but I'm bleeding out. And immediately Mimosa is ready to heal Asta up, but they forgot that Lily was just standing right there, and then she immediately warps in front of them. And interestingly enough, she casually, like, I'm not even sure, a grimoire. It's not a grimoire. I'm so sorry. I am actually, like, let me just say this. Thank you to who corrected me. But I'm so sorry. Every single time I called it a grimoire, completely forget. I didn't watch the anime. So when I see grimoire, I read grimoire. Though I know for a fact, like, before I watched Seven Deadly Sins, I know it was grimoire. That's how everyone says it and everything else. So I don't know. W me. But she actually pulls out a grimoire. And, like, I guess this just comes with the territory now. You're an advanced human, so you get your own fancy little grimoire. Like, I don't think this was hers. I don't think she just got hers amped. This looks like a completely different thing, and it's so thick. Like, the amount of spells in this bad boy, you gotta be crazy. And interestingly enough, the spell she activates is called Spatial Magic Sacred Demon Control. And interesting. Because it seems like in this space, she has told the minion over what happens in it. For any of my God of High School readers out there, it's kind of like Sujin Lee's The Hope. Like, just complete and absolute control over everything within a limited space. Because we see that just by existing in it, all of Noelle's magic is slowly fading away. At least her attacking spear is. Her armor seems to be staying on. Actually, no. It seems like her armor is even breaking away, too. And we see that Lily explains it.
It's a cage of severed space. Whoever would have thought I could use a spell like that? Master Lucius' power is truly girthy, fat, and splendid.
And that's, once again, it's an interesting thing. She doesn't say it's Buggy Boy's power. She says it's Master Lucius's power. So does that mean that Lucius has some sort of contract or absorbed the abilities of, or something like that along the lines of the Buggy Boy? Like, how does she know that this is Master Lucius's power and not, like, it'd be one thing if she says, this power that Master Lucius gifted me is truly splendid. But no, she specifically calls it Master Lucius's power. So does Lucius have access to spatial magic? I mean, it would make sense that he could, because that explains how he could just travel from the underworld and back freely with no issue when everyone else kind of needed a tree or two or had no magic. I don't know. It's interesting. And once again, I like how it's twisted, I will admit. Don't get me wrong, it's quite twisted. But I do like how Sister Lily, rather than like being shocked or afraid or anything like that, she's enjoying the power that was given to her. Like, she's amazed that she could perform a spell like this. Almost like deep down within her, even originally, there was a desire for power. And being given this power, she's just blown away and respects it greatly. even though it's a power that cost her her free will and probably anything else that made her her. But it's a good thing to write in there. I think it's a lot better than just making Lily be like, no, save me, Asta, help me. Nah, just make her a villain. I'm down for it. I'm really down for it. Sure, she's brainwashed, so you have the out. You can always save her. Same thing with Julius. Like, he's there technically, so you can save him. You don't necessarily have to get rid of him when you get rid of Lucius. So once you defeat Lily, you can probably save her somehow. But while we have Evil Lily, I will take Evil Lily, and we do get to see that she is completely. She's just drank the Kool-Aid, I suppose is the term here. She's like,
oh, don't worry. It's going to be fine. Before long, you'll understand that Master Lucius is right.
And I wonder, like, what happened in that soul transfusion? Like, did she... I know he said you get a wealth of power and knowledge, but did she really just get the whole rundown? Like, what does she mean by right? That humanity needs to transcend and become true humans? What in that line of transformation and purification did she realize that? Because it happened pretty quickly. Like, I wonder what her brain is running like right now, especially considering it's been probably at most a minute, because you know how fast Black Clover is. So you got to consider, right, Sister Lily had a set amount of information, a set personality, and a set magic. Lucius immediately overrode all of that, yet kept certain information there that I can identify herself as Lily. So imagine if you were just fed like who knows how much information and given a whole new set of abilities than you had before. How do you think that would feel? Like, would it break your mind? Seemingly it didn't. It seemed like it opened Lily's eyes, but it's interesting how she's just so lucid and calm and forthright. Like, there's no doubt in her mind that Father Lucius is right. And I don't know, I like that. It's interesting. It almost makes me want to see the process in slow motion. Like, I want to peek inside Lily's head right now, see what's there, and see if there's any suppression or anything like that, or if it truly was just like installing a new operating system on a computer. I really want to see that. And we do get to see that Noelle was like, yo, wait, no, stop. Cause like, she immediately realizes what Lily's going to do as she turns to Asta. And she even says, you're Asta's, I'm assuming, love or hope or dream or whatever. But Lily turns to Asta and she goes,
I'm sorry, Asta, but your death is sure to bring about true peace and happiness to the world.
And like, she's saying this with a smile. Like, it is so freakily ominous, and I love it. I don't know. It's initially when I first saw, like, I didn't even see the pages. I just saw the leaks, like the text leaks for this, and it was like some dude explaining how Lily had gone evil or something like that. Initially, I was gonna sit back and be like, nah, that's whack. Like, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of that. Sure, you can do it. I can see why you do it, but I don't know. It's kind of mid. Wouldn't do it myself. But now seeing it, seeing how it's being written, seeing how it's being executed, man, like, I hope Horikoshi cooked like Tabata cooked. Like, if you were to ask me after chapter 330, I thought we were not going to beat no allegations. I thought, like, I was part of the allegations. Like, I'll be real. I was definitely on the prosecutor's side for this one. Like, I was Disney Clover deep down and in a hurry. And to be fair, it still is Disney, no matter what. I will never forgive chapter 333, 330, for being so purely Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Literally down to the very ending shot where everyone's smiling at the camera. I will not forgive that. But in terms of what we've gotten out of it, what's come afterwards, what happened post Disney, I'm loving it so far. It's really, and it's doing things that I didn't expect in ways that I didn't expect them, and I'm loving it. I'm loving being thrown off. Like, this is one of the few times where I'm reading something and like I'm not predicting it, and B, enjoying what I'm not predicting. I love it. And we see that Asta, in his seemingly, and this is where the Disney is going to come back immediately. Like, especially after what happened with My Hero, I know the Disney clapback is going to be, woo, the demons are going to go be out there. But we see that Asta's like, sister, I swear I'll see you. Boom. Bro's gone. wiped. His data deleted. Hard wipe from the world. You want Asta data? I'm sorry, can't get it. Boy's gone. That boy gone. Worse than Gin. not Gin. Jing. That boy is out of there. All from one attack. Like, notably, Sister Lily didn't even like chant a spell or anything. She didn't use her grimoire or nothing. She just waved her hand and Asta went boop. Wow. Once again, kind of crazy that she just one-shot him like that. And obviously, I personally, if you were to ask me, one, I don't believe Asta's dead, but I do believe like button free, so the subscribe button, and you really help me out if you hit those. But I don't believe Asta's dead. Obviously, he's the main character in Black Clover, which is a Shonen Jump manga, which is made for young boys. So obviously, there's just like some clickbait. However, with this being clickbait, I'm going to assume there's going to be some multi-layered clickbait, and I think there is some part of Lily that's still there, and that he didn't actually get wiped from existence. Because notably, the thing is, we see what happens when something gets wiped from existence earlier. We saw the water dragon get annihilated. That was a box. Meanwhile, this star spatial magic attack, it seems a bit too different for me to believe it just has the exact same effect. Like, bada bing, bada boom, it also wiped from existence. I'm assuming he was transported somewhere. I'm not saying the new Sister Lily, like, conscientiously did that, but it may be, like, repercussions or holdovers from her original self that couldn't bring her to annihilate Asta and rather just move him somewhere else. Maybe to the underworld, maybe there's still some malicious intent behind it, but I don't think that in any way, shape, or form that he actually got two-pieced, no drink, and a Popeye's biscuit with no bev. Like, I don't think that happened. And we do get to see that with nothing but a blood splatter left all over the wall, Noelle is in shambles. And not just Noelle, but Sekre and Mimosa too. They scream. Well, Noelle screams Asta's name. Meanwhile, Mimosa can't even handle it, and Sekre's in shame, shock, and tears. And we get to see that Lucius is like, alright, W work.
It's done. Now this ideal world will have no flaws. Judgment Day will occur 7 days from now. This will be humanity's final holy war, fought to bring about a world where nothing as foolish as war exists. My foresight has already showed me the outcome, but you'll fight anyway, won't you? I've foreseen that as well. Isn't that right, captains?
Let me voice Lucius. So don't let me voice Lucius. What did Julius sound like in the end? I haven't watched the Black Clover anime, except for that one filler fight between all the captains. I think it's the only piece of Black Clover anime I watched. And no, I did watch the Julius and Patrick fight. I just don't remember what he sounded like. But as dumb as I think the war idea is, because you just go around tapping everybody with your soul magic, unless there's some limit that we don't know about. I'm kind of excited. The fact that he's just ready. And my favorite thing here is that he's like, oh yeah, it's all over. I've foreseen it all already, but I know you'll fight anyway, because that's just what you do. And I've foreseen that too. It's like, it's kind of, notably, the final villain of Bleach has abilities very similar to this. And one of the things that I like about this, that I think is missing, is that, like, constant reminder. I've seen it all before, and there's nothing you can do. Obviously, there's going to be some breaking fate power here. Yada yada. I don't think, like, I think he's so confident because due to anti-magic he can't actually perceive Asta. There's a similar thing in the other series too, where due to some certain condition you can't actually perceive what's gonna go on 100% of the time, even with their foresight powers. So obviously Asta's gonna come and throw a wrench in it, but I love the confidence, the swagger, the elegance that Lucius brings to the table. He's just different. And speaking of being just different, all the captains are just different as they arrive super duper late. And everyone's charging in. And obviously some people have much more drastic reactions than others. William, poor William, hasn't done anything yet other than make a sword, is like, Master Julius? And we see that Fuyalion is like, wait a minute, what in the heezy? And Yami is like, no, that's not his magic or his key, not even close, but his face and body, they're the exact same. And I love how we end on his reaction, the most drastic of them all. Julius! Like, Yummy, you're a voice actor? Better go crazy on that one. And we see in a burst of spatial magic, once again, and I'm banking on it. I'm definitely banking on it. Lucius and Lily disappear. Even though I don't know why you don't just blitz and tap all the captains and make them more paladins, but whatever. It's that same star. That same star magic that Lily used. And obviously Lily didn't just slaughter both Lucius and herself. She transported them somewhere. So I'm gonna assume that Lily transported Asta somewhere. Just tapping my dome. I don't believe Asta's dead for half a second. Though, I'm very, once again, super excited to see how everyone's gonna deal with this. Judgment time coming in 7 days. Whew. We know it's gonna be big hype, and I'm super excited to see where we go for this. I'm excited to see what we do in the future with these captains, with these characters, and can't wait to see the army of the Wizard Emperor. However, those are my thoughts. Please leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below, support for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off.